everyone, and welcome back to Speak Your Flow, the podcast where we unlock the secrets to confident, articulate communication. I'm your host, Michael, and today we have an experienced English teacher and language coach with us. Please welcome Olivia.
Michael, thank you so much for having me. Vocabulary and speaking skills are topics I'm genuinely passionate about because I've seen how they transform lives. When someone discovers they can express themselves clearly and confidently, it's like watching a flower bloom.
That's beautiful. Many of our listeners struggle with the same challenge. They understand English when they read or listen, but when speaking, the words just don't come out right. What's happening there?
That's a perceptive observation. What you're describing is the gap between passive knowledge and active recall. Think of your brain as a vast library. You have thousands of books on the shelves, but if you haven't practiced retrieving specific books quickly, you'll stand there helplessly when you need information fast. Vocabulary works the same way. Recognition is easy, but production requires a completely different cognitive process.
For someone who wants to genuinely improve their vocabulary, where should they begin?
The first principle I teach is this: context is king. Never learn vocabulary in isolation. When you encounter a new word, anchor it to a context. If I tell you the word serendipity with just the definition a fortunate accident, you might remember it briefly. But if I tell you about discovering my favorite coffee shop through serendipity, I took a wrong turn and stumbled upon this charming cafe. Now that word has a story, an emotional connection, a living memory.
So we're creating mental hooks for these words?
Precisely. Cognitive scientists call this elaborative encoding. Your brain remembers information better when it's connected to emotions, sensory experiences, and personal relevance. This is why vocabulary from novels sticks better than flashcards. You encounter melancholy while reading about a character sitting alone by a rainy window, reflecting on lost love. That entire scene supports the word in your memory.
Realistically, how many words should someone aim to learn?
For basic conversation, you need approximately 2,000 word families. For reading standard texts comfortably, around 5,000. For professional fluency, 8 to 10,000. But here's the crucial insight. It's not about quantity alone. It's about knowing words deeply, not superficially.
What do you mean by knowing a word deeply?
When you truly know a word, you understand multiple dimensions. First, the denotation, the literal definition. Second, the connotation, the emotional associations. Home and house have similar denotations, but vastly different connotations. Third, collocations, which words naturally pair together. We say heavy rain, not strong rain. Fourth, grammatical behavior. Is it countable? What prepositions does it take? We say interested in, not interested on. Fifth, register. Is it formal, informal, academic, colloquial?
What are concrete strategies our listeners can implement today?
My first strategy is the 3-encounter rule. You need to encounter a new word meaningfully at least 3 times before it transfers to long-term memory. First encounter, note it in context. Second encounter, look it up in a learner's dictionary with examples. Third encounter, use it yourself in writing or speaking.
So it's about active engagement?
Exactly. This brings me to my second strategy, the personal vocabulary journal. Create entries with 5 components: the target word and pronunciation, the original sentence where you found it, your own example sentence, synonyms and antonyms, and a personal association, a memory, image, or mnemonic device.
Can you give an example?
Let's say you encounter resilient. Your entry might look like word, resilient, resilient. Original context, Despite setbacks, the entrepreneur remained resilient and built a successful company. My sentence: my grandmother is the most resilient person I know. She raised 5 children alone. Synonyms: tough, strong, adaptable, tenacious. Antonyms: fragile, weak, vulnerable. Personal connection: reminds me of bamboo, bends in the storm but doesn't break. See how rich that is? You're creating a multi-dimensional understanding.
What about technology and apps?
Apps like Anki for spaced repetition can be valuable supplements if you create your own decks with full sentences and personal examples. I also recommend reading apps like Readling, which let you look up words in context. However, focus on high-frequency words first. The Pareto principle applies. 20% of words account for 80% of everyday usage.
Let's talk about speaking skills. Someone might have impressive vocabulary but still struggle to speak fluently. What's the disconnect?
This is the knowledge performance gap. Speaking is a performance skill, like playing an instrument. You need automaticity and confidence. Here's a fundamental truth: fluency isn't about perfection, it's about flow. Fluent speakers maintain continuity and rhythm. They use filler phrases naturally, like, well, let me think, or that's interesting, or how should I put this? These keep conversation moving while your brain processes.
So, those phrases are actually legitimate tools.
Absolutely. They're called discourse markers. You know, I mean, basically, actually. They buy processing time and signal your attitude. The key is using them naturally, not excessively.
What other elements contribute to fluent speaking?
Pronunciation and intonation are crucial. English is stress timed, meaning we stress content words, nouns, main verbs, adjectives, while reducing function words. Listen, I'm going to the store to buy some milk. This rhythm makes English sound like English. When learners stress every word equally, it sounds robotic and harder to understand.
Recording yourself seems uncomfortable for many people.
It is initially, but that discomfort is why it's valuable. Recording yourself for 2 to 3 minutes, then listening critically is one of the most powerful tools available. You'll notice your filler words, hesitations, and pronunciation challenges. Self-awareness precedes improvement.
Many listeners have knowledge but are held back by anxiety. How do you help students overcome this?
Speaking anxiety is universal. Even native speakers experience it in high-stakes situations. The most effective approach is gradual exposure combined with reframing. Start in low-stakes environments, speak to yourself, narrating daily activities. Now I'm making coffee, I'm pouring water. Then speak to AI chatbots, then language exchange partners, finally native speakers in service interactions.
And the reframing part?
Change your internal narrative. Instead of I must speak perfectly, reframe as every conversation makes me better. Instead of they'll judge my accent, try my accent tells my story. Most powerful, mistakes aren't failures, they're feedback. When someone corrects you, that's a gift.
What about practical techniques in the moment?
Breathing is underrated. Take 3 deep belly breaths. In for 4 counts, hold for 4, out for 6. This activates your calm response. Also, learn circumlocution, talking around words you can't remember. If you can't recall refrigerator, say the machine where we keep food cold. Native speakers do this constantly.
Not everyone can move to an English-speaking country. How can someone create immersion at home?
Create an English bubble. Change your phone to English. Watch series with English subtitles, not translated ones. Same language subtitles improve listening and reading simultaneously. Choose content slightly below your level initially. Children's shows use high-frequency vocabulary with clear context.
What about podcasts?
Podcasts are phenomenal. For intermediates, try narrative podcasts like This American Life. For advanced learners, explore your genuine interests. Love cooking? Food podcasts. Into technology? Tech podcasts. When you're interested in content, language learning becomes a byproduct.
How does reading fit into speaking improvement?
Reading exposes you to sophisticated structures and vocabulary you won't hear in casual conversation. Extensive reading, for pleasure without stopping, builds fluency. Intensive reading, analyzing texts carefully, builds accuracy. Spend 80% on extensive, 20% on intensive.
How should vocabulary learning differ based on goals?
This is where strategic selection becomes critical. If you're a software engineer, you need debugging, algorithm, and deploy more urgently than serendipity. Analyze authentic materials from your field. Highlight words appearing repeatedly. Those high-frequency terms should be prioritized.
What about idioms?
Focus on high-frequency professional idioms like on the same page, touch base, circle back, move the needle, and low-hanging fruit. Avoid obscure ones. Better to master 10 useful expressions perfectly than half know 100 idioms you'll misuse.
When you're in a real conversation, what strategies help?
Conversation is a dance. Use active listening with response tokens. Uh-huh. Right. I see. Really? These show engagement. Ask follow-up questions like, what do you mean? Or can you give an example? They demonstrate interest and buy processing time.
What about taking the floor?
Use transition phrases like, that's interesting, and it reminds me of, or building on what you said. For disagreeing politely, use the formula acknowledge, then redirect. I see your point, but I think, or that's one way to look at it, though I wonder if.
How important is accent really?
You do not need a native-like accent to be excellent. The goal is intelligibility, not imitation. Your accent carries your identity. What matters is being understood easily. Work on problematic sounds that genuinely impede comprehension in your specific language background.
How should someone practice pronunciation?
Minimal pairs practice, words differing by one sound like ship and sheep. Also, shadowing, playing audio and speaking along simultaneously, matching rhythm and intonation. It trains your mouth muscles and ear together.
How do people maintain motivation long term?
Motivation alone is unreliable. Build tiny habits that become automatic. Habit stacking. After I pour my morning coffee, I will speak 3 sentences in English. These are so small they're impossible to skip, but over time, they compound dramatically.
What about identity-based change?
Instead of I want to speak English fluently, shift to I am someone who speaks English every day. When you see yourself as an English speaker, you naturally do what English speakers do.
How do you handle plateaus?
Plateaus are normal, signs of consolidation. During plateaus, change something. New materials, different conversation partner, new content type. Remember growth mindset. Your abilities aren't fixed. I can't express complex ideas becomes I can't express complex ideas yet.
Could you recommend specific resources?
For beginners, Duolingo or Busuu for vocabulary, graded readers from Oxford, BBC Learning English for listening. For intermediates, Netflix series like Friends with English subtitles, young adult novels like John Green's books, conversation platforms like italki.
For advanced, the New York Times, podcasts on your interests, and native level content.
Olivia, this has been absolutely incredible. What's your final advice?
Language learning is a journey, not a destination. Be patient with yourself. Celebrate small wins. Every conversation, every word learned, every mistake corrected is progress. You're not just learning a language, you're expanding your world, connecting with new people, and discovering new parts of yourself. Start small, stay consistent, and trust the process.
Beautifully said. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom with us today.
My pleasure, Michael. Thank you for having me.
And to our listeners, thank you for tuning in to Speak Your Flow. Remember, your voice matters, your story matters, and every word you speak in English is a step forward. Until next time, keep practicing, keep growing, and keep speaking your flow.